Hello everyone, today I have a amazing story for this. When Albert was a young child in Germany, his parents worried intensely about his development. He was so slow to speak that they feared he might be facing a severe mental deficiency. While other children laughed and played together, Albert stood on the periphery of the world, staring at things that others took for granted. He looked at the grass, the sky, and the silent mechanics of nature. When he was 5 years old, his father showed him a simple pocket compass. For most children, it would have been a momentary toy, but for Albert, it was a profound revelation. The needle moved, guided by an invisible, silent force in the empty space. This moment shook his entire being. He realized that beneath the surface of the everyday world, there was something deeply hidden, a beautiful harmony waiting to be understood. Yet the schools of his time did not care about a child's wonder. They cared about discipline, memorization, and absolute obedience. Albert hated the rigid structure of his schooling, which he compared to a military barrack. His teachers found him arrogant and slow because he refused to learn by rote. One teacher famously told him that his very presence in the classroom destroyed the respect of the students and that he would never achieve anything in his life. As a teenager, Albert faced immense hardship when his father's business failed. His family moved to Italy to find work, leaving him behind in Munich to finish his high school education alone. The isolation was suffocating, and the pressure to conform broke something within him. He chose to drop out of school and renounce his German citizenship, becoming a stateless person with no country, no money, and no clear future. He wandered for a time, a young dreamer with nothing but his thoughts. When he finally tried to enter the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich, he failed the entrance exam because he could not pass the non-science subjects. He was forced to spend another year at a small school in Aarau to catch up. It was here, however, that he first allowed his mind to completely wander into the cosmos. He began to ask himself a beautiful, childlike question that would change human history. What would happen if a person could run alongside a beam of light? Even after graduating from the Polytechnic, the world refused to recognize his passion. While his classmates secured prestigious university assistantships and began their academic careers, Albert was met with a wall of silence. He applied to dozens of universities across Europe, begging for a chance to teach or research, but every single door was slammed in his face. His professors, irritated by his independent nature and his habit of skipping classes to read the works of radical scientists on his own, refused to write him letters of recommendation. Albert was completely cast aside. He watched his father's health decline, knowing that his father was dying with the heavy burden of believing his son was a total failure. This broke Albert's heart. He felt like an absolute disappointment, a financial drain on his struggling family, and a ghost in the academic world. To survive, Albert took a low-paying, tedious job as a lower-grade clerk at the patent office in Bern, Switzerland. To the outside world, this was the ultimate defeat for a young physicist. He was confined to a small desk surrounded by stacks of technical blueprints for trivial inventions like gravel indicators and typewriter modifications. He worked 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Yet it was precisely in this quiet obscurity that the miracle happened. Einstein did not let the mundane nature of his job crush his inner light. Instead of viewing the patent office as a prison, he turned it into his sanctuary. He learned to read the patent applications with lightning speed, mastering the art of stripping a problem down to its absolute essence. When he finished his official work, he would quietly slide open his desk drawer, pull out scrap pieces of paper, and plunge deep into the mysteries of the universe. In the year 1905, while working as an unrecognized patent clerk, the dam broke. In a single miraculous explosion of human creativity, often called his annus mirabilis, the 26-year-old Einstein published 4 groundbreaking papers that shattered the foundation of physics. working entirely in his spare time, without the help of a university library, without any academic colleagues to talk to, and using nothing but the raw power of his imagination, he changed everything. He proved the existence of atoms, explained the quantum nature of light, and introduced his special theory of relativity. In one of those papers, he penned a simple, beautiful equation that revealed that mass and energy are two sides of the same coin, showing that even a tiny grain of sand contains a sleeping giant of cosmic energy. The world did not change overnight. For years after publishing these historic papers, Einstein remained a patent clerk ignored by the grand institutions of science, but true genius cannot be hidden forever. Slowly, the greatest minds of Europe began to realize that a revolution had been born in a quiet desk drawer in Bern. When fame finally arrived, it did not change the core of who Albert Einstein was. He remained the gentle, eccentric soul who loved his violin and walked through the streets with messy hair and no socks. He became a global icon, yet he always maintained that he had no special talents, only that he was passionately curious. The emotional climax of Einstein's life came years later, when he sought to expand his theory to include gravity, creating the general theory of relativity. For nearly a decade, he waged an intense intellectual war against his own limitations. He suffered from intense exhaustion, stomach illnesses, and the terrifying fear that his mathematical equations were wrong. He was trying to prove that space and time were not flat, empty backdrops, but a flexible fabric that bends and warps under the weight of massive stars and planets, much like a trampoline bends under a heavy bowling ball. In 1919, during a total solar eclipse, British scientists traveled to the edge of the world to test his theory by measuring the bending of starlight around the sun. When the data came back, Einstein was proven right. The universe was exactly as the lonely patent clerk had imagined it. Einstein's ultimate success was not just his fame or his Nobel Prize. His true success was his victory over loneliness, doubt, and the crushing weight of a world that tried to tell him he was nothing. He showed humanity that the greatest laboratory in existence is not a multi-million-dollar facility, but the human mind fueled by wonder. He proved that being an outsider, being different, and being rejected can be the very catalysts that allow a person to see what everyone else has missed. His life is an eternal reminder to every struggling soul that your current circumstances do not define your destiny, and that the quiet fire burning inside your heart is powerful enough to illuminate the entire universe.